Hey guys, I'm back and I've got a cool unit here for you. This time we're going to talk about how to incorporate animal designs into your mech. Um, hmm, this can get really wonky and it's hard to draw the line of, you know, where you actually just are inspired from an animal and where you're trying to copy it outright, right? So what I want to do in this unit is kind of look at some key features of that animal and see if we can mechanize it. See if we can make it mechanical a little bit, right? Guys, this isn't going to be easy. So this is one of the tougher units. Before we get into learning how to put all this stuff together, this is one of the last units of like understanding the construction of the mech, right? So take a breath. Okay, you ready? Let's jump into it. All right, so for the first one, we're going to look at a kitty cat. I know. Like I'm looking at this cat and I'm thinking, oh, well, that's a cat. Yeah, that's a cat. I chose this for a reason, just because it's goofy looking. I don't know. I was searching cats and got on a bit of a tangent, but let's go beyond this cat just a little bit, right? And what I want to do is just like let's say uh, we're gonna draw some of the things. What I want with a cat is movement, right? So I'll draw the base body, something like this, almost thinking like a motorcycle gas tank or something, right? And then I'll hinge it. You know, there's a hinge on either side of this, right? Okay. So one thing that I like about cats is the balance, you know, the tail balance, right? So I could pull something like that. Okay, so already I feel like it's got this little bit of swooping grace to it that I want, right? Um, the other thing about cats, the head. Okay, so there we go. So we've got this swooping grace, right? This head. Uh, with cats, we've got the paws. Let's see. There we go. This one could go back, and maybe this one comes. I'm kind of throwing in joints here all over the place, but have a little paw, like he's pawing at something. Okay, so here's a rough sketch of maybe what a cat might be. I wish I kind of made the head a little bit more graceful, but whatever, right? Like, so you can start to add details into it, you know, have the chassis, the body, whatever, you know, have some cool points to it, have the neck coming maybe a little bit, um, some hooks on different sides of this, right? Something like that, right? Okay. Uh, with the feet, maybe for gripping, could be something like this. Like, although I got to say the two claws kind of make it look like it's a bit of a bird or something, right? And maybe a counterweight at the end here. And then if you want, you can coil this however you want or something. Okay, so I'm hoping you're following along. I'm hoping you're rolling with me a little bit on this. It doesn't have to be exactly what I just did there, but like I said, the main thing that I was wanting was this kind of fluid motion of a cat, right? Let's see if we can catch it a little bit better in the second one, because my cat reference here is a little I don't know, funny. Okay, so let's do the same thing. We're gonna go on this side. We're gonna have this main kind of motorcycle tank, right? Maybe I'm gonna add like a hip joint into it just to give it a little bit of movement, right? We'll come out here. We'll have a bit of head and the tail. There we go. Okay, so we've got a sleek looking thing, kind of like the reference here, right? We can have the shoulders and the 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 hip joints in there, right? So what I want to do is have this jumping, leaping forward, and maybe this one can come back like this. This one can come forward like this. There we go. And now, what do I want? Maybe on the top. We'll get into this in another unit, but I could have like a mounted machine gun or some type of weapon system up top, right? And then I could start to draw in the you know, all the details of the cat or something, right? This could be some type of hose network or scrunchie network into the eyes of the cat, right? And if I want to, I can make that just a little bit sharper. So what am I doing here when I'm trying to capture the cat? Like, I like this nose, how it looks, you know, something like that. I'm starting to capture the grace of the cat that I want in my animal reference. Maybe not so graceful. But I'm also starting to capture like the tail balance and the face design, right? Okay. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that kind of captures the essence of the animal without always being an exact copy. So let's say I want to do this this panther here, right? I like the paws of the panther, the big honking paws. So that's one of the first things I'm going to draw. I'm going to maybe draw the paws of the panther here, right? Okay, so that's one quality that I really like. The other thing is the haunting face. Okay, so now I've got, you know, this kind of focused, and already now just these two pieces are kind of looking pretty badass, right? So let's say I want to have the shoulder here, right? This is a shoulder unit into this part of the body. It comes down into an elbow, comes forward into this, comes down into an elbow, comes forward into this, right? And so what I could do is start to design the different parts of the mech, right? For the back end, do I want to put it, I could put it crunched over, I could put it, cats are often like this, like kind of hunched back, right? So I could even, depending on what I want for the back end, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I could throw, I remember, what was it? Panthro had tread, right? Actually, now that I'm looking at this reminds me so much of Panthro's, his car in Thundercats, right? So you can start to add different things to this and start to beef it up if you want to have a chassis system, a weapon system on the back, right, with whatever rocket launchers and stuff like that. You can add a lot of things, but you can see how I took the look that I wanted, moved it over, and grabbed the features that I thought were really important, right? Especially the paws. I don't know if I'd buy into this track in the back, but I had Thundercats on the mind, so it kind of popped into it, right? So that's something to think about, right? You know, I kind of been focusing on cats. I think when I did this panther one, I lost the grace of what I was trying to grab for cats here. That's okay, because I focused on something different, right? Scorpion. Well, hell, you know, there's some key points, right? So if I want to, I could have big honking claws, right? The body, and then this massive pincer up here, right? And then how I want to, you know, maybe I could line up some type of ribbing system or something like that that helps me do the legs, you know, that type of thing, right? Depending on the design, I could have, what's a way to connect? You know, looking at this model, I can just do the ribs, how it's got the scorpion itself. It looks very armored. That's the cool thing about when we're starting to use insects, is they look very armored, right? But you can start to add variations, like I don't know, I hate to get all corny on this or anything like that, but here's a joint here, right? And this is a ball joint, right? So it's going to come out. What could I add on here that could add to it? I could add, like, I don't know, I hate to do this, but a rotating chainsaw that's you know, moving. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. You know, that's spinning blades this way, so it's constantly cutting in or something like that, right? So this spinning of the blade that comes through the cycle here or something like that could be a whirling sensation, right? And then on the front, I could even, if I want this as a rideable mech, I could put the cockpit here. This is where the person can sit. The driver, we're going to go with our stickman, could sit in here, moving the controls, right, with a guard over top of them or something like that, right? There's also probably more I could do here. This could be, instead of that, it could be a laser or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like a laser cutter or something, right? That has effects coming off of it, right? Okay, guys, what I'm talking about here when it comes to drawing animals is, again, not looking at this guy, but looking at the grace, the features, the weaponry, the armor plating, whatever it is, and trying to expand on it. Saying, well, how could this fit into my machine, right? Whether the machine carries a human or not, whether it's autonomous or not, or whatever, how can I incorporate some of this in there, right? We'll get into more details in another unit, but I want you looking at the overall concept of animals, okay? So here's another sheet for you that you can practice. We've got a rhino. What's the big feature of the rhino? Should be obvious. What's the function of the rhino, right? Again, should be obvious. The spider, got a lot of cool points of articulation there. How could you expand on that? Could you make the body even smaller and the legs bigger, like a daddy long legs or something? How would you do that, right? We get into a millipede. What could this millipede be doing? What could it be carrying? What could it be transporting? How could that change its function? Do you know what I mean? The function could change the look. Think about that for the millipede, okay? The gorilla. How would you break down the anatomy of a gorilla, almost like a human's that we were practicing already, and build it up as a machine? Guys, I hope this unit helped you a little bit to think of, we're not just using humans as references, we're going to use animals as references, we're going to use nature, sci-fi, anything we can to pull in to making our mechs.